Continuing the week with Mikey, we're going to talk about a story that I imagine Peter would love. I will try to represent his views. No, I won't. Today's Not So Critical update. New privacy features of Firefox strips URL tracking parameters. And I have mixed feelings about this story. What do you think, Mikey? Good move, bad move? Makes no difference?
Well, I think I agree with Peter that it's awesome.
That tracking is fine?
No.
More tracking is better? I'm pretty sure that's Peter's position.
More tracking, please.
If I can just speak for Peter, who's not here.
I love how we just call out Peter. That's like our favorite thing to do. But yeah, I think this is great. It's kind of putting into practice some of the privacy stuff that people are concerned about. I'm not numb to the fact that tracking companies will find a way around this. Like it's not going to be hard. Like embedding JavaScript on a page is just as easy.
No problem.
It's not going to, but it shows that like Apple, at least how Apple claims, that Firefox also believes in privacy. And I believe DuckDuckGo has done similar things in the privacy realm. But yeah, I think companies are moving towards privacy by default. And if you think about it, if all of this data is not tracked, that makes data breaches less valuable because the data isn't there to steal.
True. And I don't know. I think in the intro said I was a little mixed on this. You and I were having a conversation. I don't remember if it was before we started recording or if it was part of the last episode. I don't think it was the last episode because that was more political than privacy related.
Not so political.
But that notwithstanding, yeah, the Not So Political podcast. So I'm a marketer. I love collecting information. I'm in business intelligence. I love analyzing information, aggregating data sets, putting it all together. I do, though, also see the benefit of not tracking in the sense that, like, I use an ad blocker. I use Peter's tracking server block list. I don't necessarily love to be tracked. I recognize that I almost always am, as should everybody everywhere. You are being tracked at this moment, whether you like it or not. But it's cool that they're taking these steps. I like to see that companies are doing this. Yes, it could make my job in marketing a little bit harder. And incidentally, I'll note that Firefox, with their strict security settings, is, from what I've seen, the most locked down web browsing experience you can have in terms of protecting your personal information.
Yeah, I haven't looked deep into that, but I'll take your word for it.
Well, I guess I know it from the side of being a marketer that's the one that always gave me the biggest headaches trying to get around it.
I'm like, Firefox, why? Why?
Why do you make my job so hard? I just want to track people.
Yeah, I think companies, like the people wanting to advertise, like every business out there basically, are going to have to like find alternative methods to attract an audience, really. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Like people are looking for other people, essentially, like authenticity, other humans. Like, let's have a conversation like you and I are doing. That's what people are looking for. And you can see those personalities kind of shining through on platforms like YouTube and TikTok and whatever. And it's just like, I have a message, you can choose to listen to that. And then if we are, in agreement or even not in agreement, we can hang out, we can conversate. That's all it is.
Yeah, and
instead
I think they're
like a placid corporate entity.
Yeah, and I think getting towards corporate entities is almost where you get in trouble, right? I think there are a lot of marketers who are kind of okay with it, with not focusing on the tracking. Peter talks a lot about it, like contextual advertising, and I think there's definitely a lot to that. But man, that data is so tasty.
Yeah, it is. It's
just want to eat it all up.
Yum, slice it up, and you're like just think of how, like, I haven't used Facebook in a long time, but like when you put an ad on Facebook, like you can get down to the person that you're trying to target. Like you don't
Yeah.
have to put their name in, but if you know, if I wanted to, I could slice and dice until my wife sees an ad or whoever sees an ad. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember seeing some games with this early on where you could upload custom audiences by adding a list of your customers' email addresses. So somebody uploaded,
Yeah.
a friend of
They'd be like,
theirs and however many thousand other email addresses, but then added filters to narrow it down to just that one person so they could target them with that. It's exactly what you were saying. Theoretically, if you know enough about their interests, you could accomplish the same thing. I don't think it's quite as easy as has been made out to be, but it's startling what you can do.
Yeah, and also if you know enough about their interests to target them on Facebook like that, you can also call them on the phone and have a probably meaningful conversation.
Or
So like
just
you could
stand
do that
outside their
instead.
window.
And just look at them all weird.
Yeah. Lots of ways to get to people. And we're gonna talk about the benefits of not tracking later on. That maybe is almost the theme of the week. I feel like this is now the second time it's come up. But so I think my closing message would be two things. If you are concerned about tracking, Firefox in strict mode, great way to go. I've also had good experience with Brave browser and Peter's ad and server blocking track list, ad tracking and server block list. I got it wrong. He'll leave a note in the comments. But also understand that strictly blocking these kinds of things can in fact impact your web experience. So know that you're being tracked. And if you take all the actions that you can to not be tracked, you might have a slightly more negative experience. I'm not trying to pressure you into it. I'm just saying by blocking some of these things, you can interfere with functionality, even if you wanted to argue that the functionality should never have been designed that way in the first place. I'm making no judgment on that. Just know this going in. All that notwithstanding, assume that you're being tracked, assume that your information is being sold, assume that everything has been compromised, and play it safe.